I'm going to be the one screaming, get it away! And our husband's going to be like, why are you making all these noises?
We got these big old hats on. Like, oh my God, what is wrong with us? I love it. Oh.
You ready to get started?
I am, boo-boo. Let's do it.
All righty.
I am hot.
Here we go.
Mm-hmm.
This is Brunch, Blaze, and Ballad,
where we eat, elevate, and talk about
media trends from the past,
the present,
and the future
from a Black perspective.
I'm your host, Roger Turner.
And I'm your host, Alexis Bertrand.
So sit back,
spark up,
and let's get into it. Hey, Alexis.
Hey, Roger, baby.
How are you?
I am feeling so good right now. I'm feeling so good right now.
How was your brunch?
My brunch was so good right now. Okay, sorry. I'm super stuffed.
Tell me about the brunch.
Okay. The brunch was good. You know, I stayed with my fruit salad and my granola, and that was good. But this time, I was adventurous. I tried to make myself a breakfast burrito. Listen, like
you haven't made that before.
But I tried. But I did. But I think I forgot to put the egg white like on the tortilla and then
close it
up.
Did
Did
you just have a hot doughy mess?
It was just a hot. I think it was a hot mess, girl. I was like, "What is this? Ain't what it looked like in the."
You had eggs in a dough napkin.
I had eggs in a dough. A bitch had eggs in a dough napkin. So that was it was a mess. I was in here destroying this kitchen.
But at least it was good.
I ate it, didn't I?
It was delicious.
Okay. How was your brunch?
Good. I had my little vegetable smoothie, put all my vegetables and chopped them up into a smoothie. And I am progressing to not like a chicken salad or anything like that. I'm doing a 3-bean salad. So
okay, actually, I love 3-bean salad. Actually,
so no meat in the afternoons.
Oh, talk to me.
I'm only doing like my vegetable smoothie and my 3-bean salad
because that gives you the protein, right? I guess. Oh, question, because I think we never talked about this. What is the equipment that you use? Is it like a magic bullet or
I use a bullet? Yeah,
a bullet. Okay, I just want to make sure because I'm like I don't know if our brunchers know what you use.
Is it called a magic bullet? I think it's just called a bullet.
Hey, you want to call it a magic bullet?
No, I don't think so.
No, it's called the bullet.
I think it's just called the bullet.
Oh, okay. I thought it was called. I mean, I could have swore it was like magic bullet because
like,
I think the bullet sounds a little hardcore. That sounds like we out in these streets like you want the bullet. Like I don't know. I just can't.
Who says that?
I can't right. Like I want a smoothie.
You are absolutely right. It's called the Magic Bullet Blender.
There we go. Magic Bullet Blender.
You are absolutely right. I've never called it that before in my life.
That's that Brooklyn coming out. It's I just use the bullet.
It says Magic Biggest Day, and I look at it every day and don't read it.
Look at that. I ain't gonna touch that one.
How high are you?
Baby, I'm up there. I'm in these cumulus clouds. Okay. We are at like an 8.8.
8.8 already?
Baby. Yeah, you know why? Brunches, because Roger, he is a lovely person, but he moves sometimes from the pit of hell. He gave me this damn chocolate chip cookie. Did I get it right?
Yeah, that's right.
But it's with his special recipe. And I had the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I already had a other gummy before.
We mentioned before that my husband and I started like making edibles back during the pandemic.
They're good, y'all.
And I haven't made these cookies in a while. I actually made these because we're going to Atlanta and this weekend, and my dad and my stepmother live in Atlanta. And my dad's gonna pick us up, and I was like, "Oh, thank you for picking us up from the airport." And he was like, "Yeah, only thing I need is just can you bring me some of them cookies?" I was like, "Sure, yes, I will bake these cookies."
Oh, baby,
so I've not made them in a while, but I got together and made a bunch of cookies, and so that's why we have some today.
Baby, you didn't miss. You cooked them things to perfection.
They are delicious.
That is delicious as hell. If you are a chocolate lover, babe.
Because you're going to want another one.
What? I want another one. He lucky I ain't got one.
Yourself.
No, I won't be able to get up. I won't get up to Tuesday.
Don't do it to yourself. I am at about a 7. I'm at a 7.
Okay, you good. Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't ask how high you are. Okay, 7. That's good. Let's see how this goes throughout this conversation.
I'll be all right. I feel like I'll be all right.
Yeah, I'm up there.
You want to tell the people what we're talking about?
Yes, I do. Okay, so listen, y'all. If you haven't seen the movie of the year, I'm going to put it out there, the movie of the year. And no, y'all know I'm a nerd. I am not talking about Thunderbolts.
Yeah, we're not talking about
We're not talking about, I mean, no tea, no shade, no pink lemonade, but I'm talking about Sinners.
Sinners.
I am so excited for this conversation, y'all, because this movie it has broken so many records. It has achieved so many things. Not before we get into it, but the film has a lot of heart and culture. It makes you think.
It's being praised by everyone.
By everyone. It has this soul to it. It's its own unique soul. So I was watching a other familiar movie, and I came up with our title. And you might get the movie that I'm referencing from the title that I'm about to give. So the title of this episode is called Sinners Has Soul Too.
Oh, Color Purple.
Mm-hmm. Because it really, really does. This was not your average run-of-the-mill horror flick, point blank, period. Yeah. Okay?
It's so much more.
It's so much more. And we're about to get down with this one today, y'all.
Okay. So, well, I think it's time for us to...
pull back the curtain. Now, right before you pull back the curtain, y'all, we should disclaim to the friends.
Oh, yeah. We are spoiling it.
We are spoiling the ham sandwich out of this.
So, whatever, I will put the timestamp on when we start, which will be right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If you haven't seen Sinners, what are you waiting on? Because we
about to tell you all the good tea.
Honey, I've seen it 3 times.
What, 3 times? And the time that I did see it, I went with Roger, okay? And I still need to go see it again, but we're going to get into it. As you pull back the curtain, what you got for us?
All right, so let's talk about Sinners. So this movie, which is, I was just talking to a client, old client of mine, white guy, and he was just like, so it's, I've been hearing different things about the movie. Is it a horror movie? Is it a musical? Is it a drama?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a like? It's feels like it's a lot of different. And he was like, well, what is it? And I was like, yes.
That's the answer. That's the only answer you can give is yes.
Yes. The answer is yes. It is all those things.
Yes.
In a beautiful way.
Oh my God.
There's plenty of times when a movie doesn't know what it wants to be, but this movie knew exactly what it wanted to be. So. When asked about like how he came to create this original idea, Ryan Coogler, the director of Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther,
Wakanda Forever.
Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. He is once again working with Michael B. Jordan. He and Coogler have done 5 movies together, which, you know, it's not a big thing. I feel like there's all these interviews where it was like, is that a record? That's a record. No one's done 5 films together. And I was like, Scorsese and Robert De Niro
have done like a billion, haven't they?
A bunch of movies together.
Like, right?
I was like, there are plenty of directors that do a lot of movies together.
Yeah, like
Spike Lee and Denzel Washington
have done a few. Hello.
Yeah, there are plenty of.
I don't know.
Spike Lee and why can't I think of his name?
Not Wesley Snipes.
Yeah, Wesley Snipes.
Spike Lee.
He's done a bunch of movies with Wesley Snipes.
Oh shit! Yes, but so. Yeah. I don't. You know what? I don't know if that comment is giving y'all got a problem with like black men getting along. No, I don't know. Did I jump there too quick? Yeah, I'm gonna jump there too quick.
It's giving like you're not paying attention. Like there's all of these.
Okay, even better. Yes, you're not paying attention to like the landscape. Okay, fair.
But so when asked about how he came about making this movie, he goes into this really beautiful story about his uncle James, his uncle James Edmonds, who moved to their town in Oakland, California, near his family, but was originally from Mississippi.
Okay.
And his Uncle James was the eldest member of his family, eldest male member of his family.
Okay.
And so he loved hanging out with his Uncle James. And when he was a little kid, he remembers sitting around with his Uncle James. And whenever he sat with his Uncle James would always want to play blues records and drink whiskey. And it was the only time Ryan ever heard his uncle tell stories about his time as a kid in Mississippi. Just growing up in Mississippi.
You know we love good storytelling.
And there's nothing like sitting with the elders.
Yes,
you know what I'm
just letting them tell you a rich story. Nothing like it.
He loved these stories. These stories were like, they were crazy, they were wild, but there was this vast number of stories. And then back in 2015, his uncle passed away. And I think they were just finishing Creed. I think they were finishing Creed. It was 2015. And once he came off set, he started to go home, started to realize that he hadn't fully dealt with the loss of his uncle.
Wow.
And to help think of his uncle, he just started playing blues records. Just started playing them. as he was playing these blues records, he would listen to them and would feel like his Uncle James was with him and that would be talking to him while he was listening to these records, and he could hear him telling these stories. And I quote, "I started to feel like I was conjuring him every time I played these records." So Ryan started, you felt that, right?
Because when you know the movie, you've seen the movie, like the conjuring of it.
Right.
Yeah, I get it even more now.
He started doing a deep dive into the rise of blues, the rise of the blues era in Mississippi, because pretty much Clarksdale, Mississippi, where this movie is based, is like pretty much considered the birthplace of the blues.
Okay.
That time period, late 20s to early 30s, is that time period where the rise is happening in Clarksdale, Mississippi.
Okay.
So, which is why he sets the movie in 1932, Clarksdale, Mississippi. It's the rise of the blues. Blues is a whole character in this movie. And
that is a great point. Yes. Okay, we'll get to that. Yes.
So, then when he started like looking into the music, he started realizing there was these spiritual stories, spiritualism, these stories of folklore. They're all built in all into these blues songs. For example, the stories like Robert Johnson's Devil at the Crossroads, where Robert Johnson tells a story in the song of how he makes a deal with the devil at the crossroads that gets him to like tune his guitar, and he becomes this extremely successful guitarist. And not only does it happen in the song, but it actually happens in Robert Johnson's career in real life.
Yeah. And this happens in the movie. In a weird way, it kind of happens in the movie. Yeah.
So after further research, he looks at this study on blues and that same thing that he noticed, the spiritualism, the folklore in the blues, and that a lot of these blues songs are retelling stories of a deity named Papa Legba.
Yeah.
And Papa Legba was West African spirit and African American spirit within both forms of voodoo.
Yeah. For those of you who are familiar with American Horror Story, season 3, Coven, that's the big entity at the end of that season with Angela Bassett, right? That one. That's who Roger's referring to, that character, Papa Legba.
Papa Legba serves as an intermediary between God and humanity. And that was Papa Legba's like position, that he would stand at the spiritual crossroads and either give or deny access to speak to the spirits. So he started to see this figure what kept coming up in these stories. And so it started to get him to start thinking about, as he thought about Papa Legba, he started thinking about what many, theater or film students learn, or literary students learn, the Faustian bargain.
The Faustian bargain.
He starts thinking about this thing that's called the Faustian bargain, which is a deal, often with a supernatural entity, where someone surrenders something of immense moral or spiritual importance, like their souls or their values, in exchange for a material or worldly benefits like knowledge, power, or riches.
Ooh, catch this, y'all.
It's a classic trope in the Legend of Faust, and which is, Greek tragedy.
Oh my God.
But so many other stories that, like in Shakespeare, like so he starts thinking about the Faustian bargain. And then as he thinks about the Faustian bargain, he starts to think about what type of deals do oppressed people have to make. And so he starts thinking about those deals. He starts thinking about this blues music, and he starts thinking about the brilliance of people in the Jim Crow South and what they needed to do in order to navigate the Jim Crow South. The brilliance it took to do that.
Yes.
And so out of all of those ideas, he pulls together all the usual players. Everyone that has been with him since Fruitvale Station.
Ooh.
He partners back up with Michael B. Jordan. Autumn Durald Akbar has been his director of
photography since from Jump?
Since Black Panther, I believe.
Okay.
Calls
amazing.
back Ruth Carter from Black Panther.
I mean, if it's not broken.
So music director Ludwig Göransson him and Michael have, him and Ryan have known each other since film school.
Wow. So the music, not the soundtrack, y'all, but the music from like Black Panther.
Yeah.
He came in and did the music for Sinners.
Ludwig has been his.
That is insane.
Ludwig is.
That's like
kind
low
of
key insane.
And so he pulled back all of his usual people to bring together his team to help bring this original IP, this original intellectual property that
that infuses
and it's
all of these things.
First time in a long time we have a top movie that's an original idea.
Yeah, okay. So that's what I meant when I said in my opener, like historic, right? Brunchers, like an original IP. We have been in the era of sequels and threequels and remakes for what, a decade? I'm not hating, like.
Yeah, like we haven't had an original IP this big since like since like Avatar, maybe.
I would back up. Commercially successful. I feel like everything, everywhere, all at once. I feel like that was.
Yeah, we had everything.
But it didn't pop the numbers like Avatar did.
It did pop the numbers, but right now in contention.
That's the last one I think of.
So right now the two movies that are in contention for Oscars, and like everyone, even though it's really early, everyone is like, this better get nominated.
Yeah,
because
I'm starting to hear that.
We haven't had. There are no original movies out there that are this big. Not since I think it's Mickey 17. I think it is Mickey 15.
Wow, and this well done. So I think we were, just to be clear, right? Because I don't want us to get. I think what
Mickey
we're
17.
not saying is like it's all about the numbers, because they've done these big old numbers. Sinners has done these big old numbers. The Oscar buzz is in there. Like, put the numbers aside for a second. This movie is really well acted. We'll get into it later, but like, it's really well done.
Let me mention one more thing before I close
I want to talk about this.
Out my pull back the curtain is that along with this deal, so Ryan,
let's talk about this deal.
Everyone's going crazy over Ryan's deal, and it's ridiculous. But
I think I know certain parts of the deal, but like break down like
Ryan Coogler when he made this deal with Warner Brothers, that he wanted to make sure one of the things that this story deals with is people of color owning their own story.
Yes.
People keeping their gift.
Keeping their intellectual property.
And so this was so personal of a story. Like,
what you just laid out, had no idea.
This is such a personal, like, this comes from his family. This movie is kind of a dedication to his uncle.
You can, now like, that you said that, I can see it.
It was birthed out of the loss of his uncle. So Ryan Coogler made a groundbreaking deal with Warner Brothers for his film that includes final cuts. So he did all final cuts.
What?
Yeah.
That's big.
He had final say on all cuts.
That's wild.
Okay. A share of the box office revenue from the start.
From the start. I knew that part, which was crazy.
He gets box office, and he also gets ownership of the film after 25 years. So in 25 years, Warner Brothers can do what they want to do.
That's like owning your masters.
Yeah, exactly. Warner Brothers can do whatever they want to do. They got to put 25 years to make that good money.
Mm-hmm. But 2050.
But then
2050, it's mine. 2051, it's mine.
Yes.
That's what Ryan's saying, right? 2051, it's mine.
The year 2051.
It's mine.
It's all mine again. And
we're good.
You may not have it. Yeah. And that's where we are. Yeah.
I love that. And I really So, are we done with pulling back the curtain?
I'm done with the pull back.
Because I just wanted to say thank you so much, because when you said like this is such a like it makes so much sense now, right? I think people need to get off of the fact like, oh my God, how was he able to finagle this, or what's his reason for wanting to like the ownership of it?
Lost their minds.
So it's not just about like I made a movie and I want to keep it. He didn't say that, right? But now that we know the backstory and how he got here to this product, it kind of makes sense, like why he would want it back. All right. Is it time to get into it?
I think it is. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's get into it. All right. So y'all, the way we're going to do this conversation, we're going to break down all pieces of it. And even if you're listening to the cast, this episode, I still want to encourage you, and I know Roger does as well, like you should really go see this film. I know even after talking about it, I'm going to want to see it again. And I particularly want to go see it in the theaters. Oh, Well, actually, we could talk about that now. Let's talk about the visuals of this film. Let's start here.
Okay.
Right? So the visual of this backdrop. So Jim Crow South, I just want you to, it's hot outside. There's these cotton fields and you see, our folk out there sharecropping, picking cotton. And you see like the shanty town that's surrounding, like that's nearby this place that's, you got people living in one, like 8 people living in one room. There's outhouses. It's all of the dimensions of what you would think in 1930 something, South in America. The look of it though, it was beautiful. Like they had these panning views of them in the fields, and it was, I hate to say, like, even though the imagery is like it hits me as a Black person, but there was such a beauty in that it's hard to describe. The scenery was beautiful.
I will say, this is how I describe it, is that this is not the first time that we've seen Jim Crow South in the movies before.
No, it's not.
But this is the first time we've seen Jim Crow South this expansive and shown in a warm way, as if you are... Maybe
that's it. It's a warm way.
As if you're showing, not just... We don't need to show it in a horrible way or indicate this is horrible.
Right.
But I do want you to know, for some people, this was home.
Right.
He's setting home. He's setting you comfort.
This is like it makes me think of Color Purple. There were some scenes in there where it felt like you were comfortable, like it was warm. I think that's, and like here, like I'm thinking about the church house, and which was just a white old house, and everybody's in white. The way they presented the characters look just beautiful.
You know what? I have to stand corrected. We haven't seen Jim Crow South look beautiful since Color Purple.
I feel like you were getting the perspective from the actual characters who lived in it, because the characters were in many ways proud. This is my life. This is where I'm at. I'm proud of certain parts of this existence. And I think he wanted that to ring true. Mm-hmm. When we go to Bumi's character's house, Annie's house, again, it's just this shack, but it's the way it's curated, like she took care of it. You look inside of it,
you knew
everything is in its place. It's
this
neat.
Little shack, this is her home and this is her store. This is her place of business.
Yes.
I mean, she had things written on the windows, and I was like,
right?
Oh, she run a good business. All
right?
So,
like, proud of this little bit of space.
It was that setting, the set design, the visuals, everything from the photography, which they spend a lot of time with making sure, like, this is the first time any director has got on Instagram or any other social media and explained to us film format and what ticket we need to buy.
Oh, okay. So do we want to talk about this real quick?
Yeah, let's talk about it real quick.
So this is something deep that you put me on, because y'all, when we saw it in IMAX, and I was completely blown away, right? Completely blown away by this film. However, and I knew that this film was filmed for IMAX, but you put me on.
It's filmed in 70 millimeters IMAX, which is the largest format you can film in.
Now, why is that? Like, I already know now why, because I asked you, why is that so important?
Because I've seen it 3 times. So I've seen it in standard. I saw it with you in IMAX, and I saw it in 70 millimeter IMAX. The difference is that you see the volume and the expansion of the environment is so much bigger.
It's so much bigger. Is it even bigger?
When they're like driving through the cotton fields, 70 millimeter, it hit different.
Wow.
Because I was like, oh, y'all are in the fields. This isn't like, you don't feel like I'm at a set. I feel like you are actually at cotton fields.
Wow. Yeah. Like, side note, like, you remind Jamie Lee Curtis got online and she was talking about, like how Tom Cruise just said, hey, congratulations to everybody, go see this movie. She got on her Instagram and she was like, listen, I just finished watching it in 70 millimeters. And she's like, the expansiveness, there's nothing like this. And she started saying, like, this film should be nominated because it is just beautiful. Everybody needs to see this film just for the beauty alone.
And then you got the costumes by Ruth Carter.
Oh, my God. Costumed well. Everybody looked so good in this film.
Everyone's costume told a story, man.
Oh, it did. Like there's a scene, right? Remember the scene where they're in the town and they're in this town where they're doing this trading, and literally like one side of the town is like where all the black people, the Negroes can shop, and literally across this little dirt path, if you will, on the other side of the town, right there across the street, literally is where all the white people can, and you see it from the structures to their clothing to the
and it's
cars.
Before you can tell that you're no longer looking at black people and you're looking at white people, you notice the clothing first.
You notice the paint on the walls or the wood, the way the glass is just a little bit cleaner.
This movie was stunning. Like I could not. It wasn't until the second time I watched it, I was like, oh, like there was something about the movie, like before any lines were happening. There's something extra about the movie that was like, that is registering to me. What is going on with me in this movie? It's the visuals.
Yeah, they were telling stories.
The way he used light, the way he used shadow.
That part. When the horror did kick in, y'all, it was giving me, you seen like The Conjuring or like Insidious. And what I think what's great about those films that I think got their start from, what was the one with the, oh my God, it's the ghost and the possession. They had like a whole slew of them.
Oh, I don't know.
But anyway, but what was happening is like they started playing with shadows then. They did a lot of shadow work. So this isn't like your Jason, Michael Myers slashers where it's blood and guts everywhere. They're using shadows to show you like evil at work. Or they wanted you to capture like there's still beauty in these vampires, but there's also something very dark and something you just want to stay away from. And the cuts were into it. Like this was so well done. The visuals were also a character, I think, in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, okay.
What do you want to go to next?
So let's talk about, I don't know. Oh my God, there's so much. Okay, let's go to, you know what? Let's get into the performances.
Okay. You want to go to performances?
Let's go to perform. Well, you know what? We kind of talked about this, so we can finish this. The historical accuracy.
Okay, yeah.
Right? So it talks, I love this. So let's go back to that whole town thing we were talking about. So what was crazy is that they acknowledged in this film the use of like the currency that the sharecroppers were using. And you also have the rise of the American dollar as we know it.
Right.
But that dollar bill as we know it was literally like safeguarded by the white folks there. Like that was their currency.
So like it's set in Jim Crow South, sharecropping. We all know that sharecropping was one of the most was the closest thing you could get to slavery with a salary.
With a salary.
Yeah.
Slavery with a salary. I've heard it called that several times.
It's the closest thing you can get to slavery with a salary. So you weren't paying them what they're worth, but you're paying them in, a small fee and requiring them to pay rent out all the things that they need in order to do the job, and then charge them for where they had their live, because you had to probably pay rent because you had to live near the cotton field on the plantation. So you had to rent out your space in the so all of these things are being taken out of your pay.
Your quote unquote pay.
And then once you get your pay, you get plantation money, which can't be used at white establishments, which slave owners figured, well, you don't need this money because you're not allowed in them.
In them places anyway. So what you need with that dollar bill?
So this was keeping them outside of capitalism. This was keeping them outside of their access to capitalism and the American dollar and be able to build. Listen, when you watch this movie, you get to see all different types of people that lived in Clarksdale, Mississippi, or lived in the Delta during the 1930s that were more than just black and white people.
Yes.
The movie starts with an appearance of the Choctaw that are chasing the vampire Rebek, who, originally were from the Delta South, but were driven out on the Trail of Tears and have moved into the Midwest.
So how powerful is that?
To have them open the scene that they're chasing Rebek.
Now, mind you, what was crazy, right, is that the black folks in town, I thought this was a great metaphor, didn't know what was happening here. The white folks there also didn't know that these vampires and this existed. But the indigenous people to the land,
they knew what was going on. Honey.
Not only they knew how to handle it.
They knew what was going on.
They knew how to deal with it.
They had him on the run.
They had him on the run. They almost had him.
And they had him on the run. And then you have Remick, who you usually have a vampire that is usually from Eastern Europe. That's how they're traditionally depicted. But then you have Remick, who is Irish. And there are so much history with Irish people in the Delta. And that there were communities of Irish people that were also not considered white. But the only jobs that they could get would be either sharecropping, because some Irish people did end up sharecropping.
That is true.
But other jobs that they were able to get because they weren't black people, they were sometimes employed as overseers.
Yes, which is literally it's a fucked up position, but that still ranks them under. The well-to-do, the respected white folks. So all the grunt work, if you will, that the white folks weren't willing to do, the Irish immigrants did.
And then you also, so you have the Irish immigrants, and then you have the Chinese immigrants.
This is interesting.
This was really interesting. Special relationship with the Delta. They had been living in the Delta for a good few decades. Especially, they were very prominent during the 1930s, and they were one of the few groups that could open stores and businesses, because even like the Irish American, Asians also ended up coming to the South and doing some sharecropping. But they were able to build some businesses, and they were one of the few groups that were able to serve both black people and white people.
So here, clear this up for me, because I thought... Because in this, going back to this town, y'all, this town was crazy for me. The whole scene when they first got to the town was crazy for me. So you go into the one store, and I felt like that store was owned by the Asian family.
It is.
And then I thought when you went across the street, she was working as a cashier.
They own both stores.
So did they own that store too?
They own both stores.
That was eating me up right there. That they own both of those stores.
They own both stores. They show that it's a family business because the father and the daughter are in the one store. Okay,
and then the daughter goes across.
He tells the daughter to go get her mom, and she takes her mom's place to be able to do the register.
That's right. They own both the stores. That's right. They
own both stores.
Ain't that something?
So they would have owned both stores across the street from each other. And then, you have those Chinese Americans that are there. And of course, you have black people in the Delta South. And you show that what many of them were able to do was sharecropping in the 1930s. That's right.
All the historical accuracy is killing y'all.
And that... you also have what wages they were making, what they could get. And then I think our last thing is just like the blues. Like the fact that we learned that the blues music is a main character in this story.
Can I say on the other side of that coin, I feel like you have a rise in Western Christianity and like are doing away of like practices that predated Christianity, in ancient rituals and acceptance of other different types of spirituality.
Yeah,
I feel like
you also have this theme of Christianity within this movie, but it's held so historically well. It's held so well within our history as African Americans because Christianity in the Delta South was used to weaponize against us.
Yes.
So,
here in this film, I feel like you see us weaponizing it on us. I just thought that was a great imagery of like this is how we have turned it on us.
Even though Christianity,
or turn it on ourselves.
Christianity has become an outlet and has become the spiritual practice of many African Americans.
Absolutely, including us.
Yeah, including us. However, we cannot forget that Christianity was imposed on us in order to oppress us. When our home faiths were the things that were liberating us and making us feel powerful and holding us together, we were not allowed to practice our spiritual practice. We were thrown into Christianity as a way to oppress us and weren't even allowed to read the Bible. They would tell us what was in the Bible. And then when we could read the Bible, they would keep out all the parts that would make you believe that you could be liberated and free.
And so when we did get quote unquote free, you have generations of Black people who have no idea of their own ancestral, cultural, religious practices. And so when you have Annie's character, who is definitely deep, rich, seated in, these other spiritual practices, you see it in a really almost kind of like weird dance where here's also Christianity coming up, or at least our understanding of it at the time, and how we have, now that we're free, I've heard these white people, I've seen these things. This is a spiritual practice that sounds good. So that's what we latched onto, not because it was so much more alluring than for some, I think it was more alluring than some of our other ancient cultural practices. But I think for others, they didn't know anything else. There was nothing else other than this Bible and this idea of the Son of Man. Like I don't think it was just that we didn't know anything else. I think it was that we didn't actually really know Christianity. If you think about the Christianity of the time, it was based on the scripture and the understanding of the Bible that white people would allow us to have. Right. So you see Christianity being used the way it would have commonly have been used by an African American of that time, which is to oppress. And so here's something like blues, this music. And you want to go over there and play the devil's music? But he knew it was freeing, to your point, for him. And so this beautiful art form called blues is like pushing against all of that. Yeah. It's great. Okay. All right, now I feel like, should we just say this really quickly? Well, no. We can get to that later. Because I'm like, since we were talking about the music, I really want to get to these performances. I really want to talk about these performances. Okay, let's hit it. Okay. Who you want to start with? Oh my God. You want me to pull out the IMDb? No, I got you. Baby, because we right here. First of all, I got to give my big shout out to the OG, the GOAT in there. Delroy Lindo was the GOAT for me. Yo, Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim. Yo. Like from moment when he's like, first of all, that's him playing the harmonica. Yes, I found that out. That's him. But from the moment you see him at the train station playing the harmonica, I was like, oh, we about to get a movie. We are. And the way he delivered. I already felt a movie, and I was like, oh, we about to get a performance. Come on. We did. I want to say, I think it's disrespectful. At first I was saying, you know what? Delroy stole every scene he was in. And I don't believe that. I believe he made everyone better because he was just so solid. And it was just, you're looking at like a consummate professional. He was so good. His accent, the way he moved. I think he was strategically used by Ryan throughout the movie. Absolutely. Like his character always brings these brightness in these very hard moments. These tense moments in the movie. Yeah. Move it. Ugh. I am high. Yeah, you are up there, baby. Come on, cumulus clouds. These intense moments in the movie, Delroy is used to like break that tension. Yeah, absolutely. Every single time. Who you got next? No, who you got next? That was my first one. Let's Omar Miller. Oh my God. Omar Miller as Cornbread has given us all of the lines that we will be quoting. Yes. For the rest of our lives. He might have stole every scene he was in. When he said, it be your own people. It be your own. And we all felt that. I was like, oh, Lord. Oh, man. He was so... being kind to one another. And like, you don't think about that in a horror movie. And y'all, all up until the point where the horror came in, like this is all the stuff we're quoting is things that were happening before we got to all the chaos. Like, it was so much fun watching him on screen. He was so good. Like, it was a great performance. Who you got? I'm going to have to go with, I want to get Jimmy Lawson in here. Come on. Oh, my God. Mayor of Gotham City. Oh, my God. She was, first of all, I thought all the women, I loved how women are portrayed in this film. And I loved how Pearline's character, from start to finish, like she was very much her own person. She felt safe. She was strong. She was allowed to be sensual and she was liable to be sexy, but she was not she was not, in my opinion, she wasn't violated. She wasn't over-sexualized.
So wait, I just want to read this quick quote about like how the women were portrayed in this movie.
Yeah. Read it.
So in an interview, when asked about the strength of the women in the film, Haley Steinfeld said a lot of the strength, it was on the page. Ryan wrote these women with a point of view, a voice, thoughts and feelings and opinions that they make sure you hear.
Whoa.
Wumi Masaku says, I think it's a lot to do with Ryan's reverence for the women in his life. The way he writes female characters, there's so much in each and every one of their moments.
Absolutely.
And I was like...
Absolutely. Did you not see Black Panther? Did you not see Wakanda Forever?
I was like...
Just saying.
Tyler, you need to have a conversation.
Woo! Yes, it can be done.
Yeah, it can be done. This is how
I love that. I got chills.
This is how you have reverence for women in film.
And like, y'all, in the sex scenes, I feel like the pleasure of the women was centered.
Right. There's a lot of pussy in.
Yeah, right. Okay.
There is a
lot on just getting that top off, girl. Get that kitty real quick.
He said there's a little button on the top. And I said, wait a minute. Is he talking about what I think he's talking about?
And then, I mean, they doing this with no air conditioning.
He out here talking about some, he was like, and then you want to lick it. Not too hard, not too soft. Like you're having ice cream.
Like you have,
but it's good, but you don't want it to go too fast. And I said, you better teach these young boys
if you gonna watch
what
this
they
film,
supposed to be doing.
You know how the film can always, I mean, sex scenes can always feel like at the end of it, it's either like, to me, I've seen like there's a mutual enjoyment or it's like more male-centered enjoyment.
Right. And this, we were centering the women's pleasure.
And it actually was tasteful. It was, and I was just like, oh my God. And so when Jamie was singing, and she's moving across the floor. Like I said, she was allowed to be like herself, like she's singing in the song.
He let her play with that. He told her to just play.
And so I feel like any of the sensuality or any of the sexuality or any of the power, it was all her choice. And I think like to the quote that you wrote, like you felt that with her character, and and her character was allowed to just stretch.
Yep.
In many ways, loved her. So that's who you got next.
I'm gonna go to Haley Steinfeld.
You blew my mind before we started this podcast. This heifer here, I didn't know who she was.
First, yeah. So Haley Steinfeld, yes. Hawkeye.
Y'all, I passed out when Roger told me that. I had no idea. Hawkeye done grew up on me.
Star of the Hawkeye series.
Wow.
Haley Steinfeld has been a child star from forever.
Blown away.
But Haley plays Mary.
Yeah.
Who is would be considered in the Deep South an octoroon. I don't think we use that term anymore. But a person that has Black lineage but can pass as white.
Yeah.
So if your grandfather is half Black, even though you don't look Black, you would be considered Black. So she has to make the decision of keeping or honoring her Black heritage or pass as white. Which one is going to be
that really did affect her lifestyle. That would affect, do I live poor in
Haley
here?
Steinfeld actually did some study on her own family and started to realize that her family lineage reflects the family lineage of Mary, her character.
Yes, when she discovered
that. And so I just wanted to go into a quote about asking about her character and having to like hold that type of experience for that character. Haley Steinfeld said when she was asked about her experience portraying Mary, she said, one thing I was desperate for my cast and crew to understand, even as I go through these moments to learn this character and trying to understand her space in the world, I wanted them to know desperately that I understand that I will never understand. So my imagination got me a very long way.
Damn.
And I said, honey,
damn.
Starting from right there, you was ready to go.
And you,
Haley,
and you felt that in Mary's character because there were times where she's like, I can speak dead to it, like I can throw these hands.
But at the same time,
but I don't know what your experience is.
I don't know. And so it was so she delivered some of my favorite lines in this movie. When she said, "You with the twins, boy, if you don't get the fuck out my face."
Right.
And I said,
"What?
Yes, Mary."
With all that swag.
I said, "Yes, I know who you are. You's my cousin."
I love the imagery of her literally being torn between two worlds.
Yeah.
And using that as to kind of really like usher in the chaos that ended up happening. That whole visualization of her leaving where she actually, I think she feels the most, that's what I loved. In the shack where they all party in the juke joint, you can tell she feels the most comfortable. When she goes out to the white people,
is when she starts to feel tense.
She starts to feel tense and
when
uncomfortable.
You see her looking around.
Even though she comes between two worlds, even though, at least for Mary's character, because we know there are people in real life, even now, who've made a different choice. I'm just going to be white because this is I get all the access to all these things versus honoring some of my black lineage.
Or just sometimes the conversation of, this is probably going to be the most safest way to live through life right now.
Right.
That I may,
right.
even though if I decide
agree with
to
that.
walk as a black person, I need to be a white person in black spaces where it's going to draw attention from white people, where I will be questioned, or I could be attacked, or I could be mistaken for white, and then when found out as black, I could receive violent repercussions.
Right. It's really about safety.
It's about, like, for some people, it was just like, maybe just being white is just easier.
And we understand that. Like, we ain't never lived that,
Absolutely.
but we absolutely, because it's like, you get a room of 100 people and make them all ask all 100 white people.
Right.
Would you want to be black?
You have all this. And listen, you have.
You
all
know
this
the answer to that question.
But let's go on to before we get too deep.
Okay, yeah. Sorry. Because I'm high.
Haley's performance was just amazing.
Spot on, and I loved all the decisions she made, and she was flawless. Okay, all right. Can we talk about Wumi, please?
Yes, go for it.
Oh my God! So, I thought Wumi Musaku was just powerful. I love the fact that she knew she's the one who had an idea of what was going on, and they listened to her. Like, she was respected from jump by the twins, by everybody in there, even if they didn't agree with her practice. Like, they showed her respect. I loved, like, I don't even know if I want to call them sex scenes. I felt like it was love making. I felt like she was just honored in such a way. She was strong. She was bold, and she was just consistent all the way through. I love the way her character Annie showed up.
The power source for, like, that she was used as in this movie, like, from her costumes on, like, as soon as you see Wumi, you see her in, her dress, and then she has her waist belt where she has all of these talismans and, like, pockets. It's almost as she has, like, she's Batman. She's got her utility belt on.
Yeah. She definitely gave you that.
She knows she carries stuff with her, is what you see about her as a spiritual entity to begin with.
Yes.
And then, or a spiritual practitioner to begin with. And then you have the relationship between, you find out this relationship between her and Smoke.
Yeah.
So quickly, so intimately, so intensely. He, like, gives you a tense bond within a 8-minute scene.
Yeah. Like, they didn't miss a moment.
Yeah.
Like, the character development was fast, but it felt on pace.
It felt on pace. It didn't feel rushed either.
No.
It didn't feel rushed.
No.
It did, there was so much that was happening
No.
there. So, yeah, Wumi's character, like, just seeing her, that performance of knowing what she was talking about and then nobody questioned it, loved every second of it.
Yeah, she felt like the character that was the most assured, self-assured of themselves. All the way, definitely the heart. Yeah, who you got?
Michael.
Okay, let's go for it.
I'm going to go with Michael B. Jordan.
Okay, perfect.
Michael B. Jordan as both
Smoke
and Stack.
Listen.
The Smokes to Stack twins. Michael.
He ate that shit.
So I'm going to be real honest, right?
Be real honest.
So for a long time, I've been real shaky around Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, I know you have.
I've always been like, he's all right. He's okay. He's playing a lot of, I'm seeing emotion, but the rest of the character is all of it is feeling real familiar. Is you're not really digging a character. You're just gonna be yourself, and then you can portray the emotion later. And I was like, there's a little more not happening here. So a lot of people started noticing, like, hey, Michael B. Jordan isn't the trained actor in Black Panther.
Because everybody else was just...
Black Panther, everyone, even though he gave a splendid performance, everyone could see, okay, there's a little bit of difference where you are. And I think Michael heard that criticism because, listen, my man studied.
Right?
He studied for this character.
Yes.
He sat down with, he had twin consultants that talked to him about on a regular basis about their relationship, their bond, the things that they share, what that bond means, what happens, what they can feel. Like there is he was given twin information and really took all of those in consideration.
Oh my God,
you
can
character.
See that though.
He had a dialect coach. He had an acting coach.
Oh man, the dialects were different. How the fuck? Like they were close, but they were different. Yo.
They were different enough for you to know the difference between the two, but they were similar enough that to make you believe that they were not just siblings, but twins that were devoted to each other.
Right. Like, they even moved. He moved differently. Their bodies moved.
Their body movements were different, but they were also.
But it wasn't exaggerated. Where one was like, "I'm standing up straight and tall," and the other one's totally slouching down. It's like it's just so enough. Like one leans further back. Like Stack would get like more relaxed in the car. Where Smoke was stiff, but he was still trying to be loose. Like it was. Like the soldier of Smoke, but the gangster of
Smoke was always the one whose posture was always on defense.
Yes, Stack was like, "I'll go whatever time you on is what time I'm on."
Stack would be able to just put his arm back and just relax because
But it was subtle.
It's so subtle, and it was such a great performance. When told about what he had to do in order to play twins. There's this new technology called the Halo where he has like a ring of cameras that sit on his shoulders as he's doing this performance to only photograph his face. So he does the entire performance with the Halo on, and then his stunt double does the performance. And so he has to sometimes do that performance, do it with the Halo on, and then maybe also have to now coach his body double on
to do exactly
he's
he do it.
Yeah,
and I need you to
he put so much work into playing these twins.
It fucking paid off,
and it paid off because you leave that movie theater going, "Oh shit, Michael B. Jordan just fought himself in an action scene at the end.
He beat the shit out of himself."
Oh
shit!
You realize it because you don't think about it during the scene. It's not until after the scene you're like, "Oh." That was the same person the whole time.
Because the whole time you're looking at it, you're like, yo, Smoke and Stack are fighting. You know what I'm saying? Not Michael B. Jordan fighting himself. It's Smoke and Stack are fighting each other.
Who you got next?
Oh, my God. Okay. I just want to say one more thing. I remember watching scenes with Smoke. I'm like, what is Stack up to?
Right.
Like, it's a whole different character. I want to know what Stack is up to and vice versa.
Right.
Okay, lastly, my last one, we got to talk about Miles Caton.
Yes, Miles Caton. Listen, this young man, this is his first film.
I would say if Wumi was the heart, he was the joy.
He was the
absolute
he was the treasure of the movie.
Yeah, like the just endearing treasure.
Yeah, he was the treasure of the movie.
Film.
He was the thing that everyone held special. Yes.
Like you were rooting for him all the way through. And I thought this young man's performance was brilliant. I thought his vocals were brilliant. I thought the way because he comes from a long line of just insane, crazy gospel singers.
Let's get into it. Whenever in interviews, they say, "Oh, you have a gospel family." He's like, "Yes, I do come from a musical family," and doesn't say anything other than that. What I am saying in my head every time that interview says is that Miles Caton is from a gospel dynasty. Specifically Brooklyn gospel. So if you understand Brooklyn gospel and you listen to it, you've heard the song. You've heard a song go start. How many times will it take for me to learn?
If you know 90s gospel, you know Hezekiah Walker, period.
Right. And you know that song, that
Calling My Name?
That is, and that lead singer is Timothy Figueroa.
Now, where does you can, for us gospel heads, be like, oh, done.
So listen, if you don't know who Timothy Figueroa is, she's a powerhouse vocalist of her own.
Period.
She sang with Hezekiah Walker, sang lead for hit songs for Hezekiah Walker and for Kurt Carr and the Kurt Carr
Period.
Singers.
Like everybody don't sing for Kurt. Like stop playing.
His aunt, Timothy's sister, Anisha Figueroa, is also a gospel singer, sang backup for Alicia Keys, and also sang with Kirk Franklin.
Like
they're
insane.
Their parents, Bishop Eric Figueroa and First Lady Doreen Figueroa, both came from the home of Brooklyn Gospel Institutional, which is
God
of Institutional Church of God in Christ. Institutional.
That's where all of that came from.
Institutional Radio Choir, which at a certain time in the 70s was considered the hit makers. That was their nickname. And if you knew gospel, you knew institutional. Gospel, like they've had a broadcast over I know all of this history because my family came out of Institutional Church of God in Christ.
Come on now.
Miles Canton's grandparents and my parents sang in the same choir together.
That's buck wild. Oh my God! Look at the degrees of separation. My God, Roger.
They all come. He comes from a huge line of gospel singers, like successful, well-known gospel singers.
Oh my God! So with that, there's a polish there because you know how sometimes when you see I love Tamala Man, but actually in a lot of Tyler Perry's movies, he'll have a character play a character, and then when that character has a moment of singing, I feel like I lose the character, and then the singer comes out. So Tamala Man's playing a character, but when it's time for that character to sing a song, it's just Tamala, and then she goes back into the character.
So, listen,
with Miles, I felt like
Miles studied.
He was it was controlled, and his voice soared like he sounded like my grandfather. It was so damn soulful. It was crazy.
So not only, acting wise, not only did Miles also have Michael B. Jordan's acting coach and dialect coach.
Stop playing.
Okay,
this your first film, and this is who's coaching you.
He also. When he was a backup singer for her, the artist, who encouraged Miles to send in an audition video for this role. Miles also sang with the Kurt Carr Singers. So he has like a trained voice, but he studied the music. So Ryan Coogler gave him and the entire cast an essential blues playlist to help them understand like the music of the era and like compile. And so they're all a part of this same sense. They've studied blues music to be in this movie. Every cast member had to and listen to that.
You have to understand.
So he embedded that music in them.
Wow.
And then Miles also took guitar lessons. He wasn't a guitar player.
And the way he plays, you would think he'd been playing for years.
He worked with a guitar coach and took the train to Philly once a week.
Let's go.
With a guitar coach that showed him all the blues basics in weeks.
Wow. And that's in weeks? That's nasty.
And
everybody need to catch a nomination.
In
That's
an
crazy.
interview with Michael B. Jordan and Miles Canton, Michael B. Jordan praises Miles. He was like, listen, he was like, not only did this guy just do a good job, he knocked it out the park.
He really fucking did.
He was like, this kid, he was like, I'm so proud of him. He was like, he not only absorbed the dialect, absorbed the character and studied the character, but absorbed the music, changed his voice because he started to mimic singers of that blues era of the 1930s. Even though he had that deep smoky voice, he still adjusted his vocals to fit the music of the times. This man did such a marvelous job.
Marvelous job.
Marvelous.
Yeah, like he was just smooth all the way through. So I just want to mention him before we move. Okay, there's a couple other things I want to address. And one is like my favorite scene.
Okay.
My favorite scene is when the juke joint gets going and Miles's character.
Oh, when we pierce the veil?
When we pierce the veil.
Oh, listen.
It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. That is the most incredible thing.
During that scene. Everyone knows that you listen at this point, you have seen the movie. I'm not going to explain this.
No,
we
not.
You were there.
Oh my God.
Felt it.
What?
And like it was such a powerful moment because what they were portraying is something that we've all felt. We've all had a musical experience, no matter whether it was church music or some music that really loved, but a moment where we felt we were in more than just this realm.
No, yes, regardless of genre and like, but how he melded them, like it almost felt like it's all comes from the same beautiful well. Y'all don't understand.
Same experience where we're all conjuring all of our ancestors.
Regardless of color, creed, or time.
Right. Didn't matter. Regardless of color, creed, or time, yes. It did not matter.
It didn't matter.
The spirits were coming. As long as you were there, your ancestors were there.
And
it was crazy. It's such a beautiful moment. It was done so well.
Yeah.
The follow shot.
Oh my God.
The choreography of
the choreography of that.
And like all of the performers,
gorgeous.
All the main actors said the most difficult part of that scene is that there's all of this stuff going around and we can't look at it.
Oh.
We had to do this scene
as
because
if that
was not there.
Ooh.
So it would be so distracting and so hard not to just look at what is happening next to us.
But the picture of it is like,
yes,
because you would have got lost in their reactions, and it's like no. And true to the story, as this beautiful moment is happening, evil is all the spirits.
I love this.
All of them are coming.
I love that.
Are being called.
I love this device. I loved everything about this.
Yeah. Favorite scene.
What are we? So we just talking about favorite scenes?
I just had to get that in there because I know it doesn't fit into a category, but like I just wanted to enter the conversation. Like we can do favorite scenes. I just had to talk about that.
I want to talk about my favorite theme of this.
Yes, give me the favorite theme.
So my favorite theme. There's many themes around here.
Yeah,
around all of this, but the main theme that I'm seeing in this movie is that the main conflict and horror was what we as oppressed people negotiate in order to experience our version of freedom.
Here we go. Ooh, our version of freedom. Hell yeah, I'm with this.
Everyone is having their own version of freedom and having to deal with the consequences of their decisions.
Yes, everybody.
So everyone has to now deal with their consequences of their decisions. He mirrors what is typically happening with us culturally with the decisions of what the characters are making.
Yes.
So you see...
I absolutely agree with this.
You see the black people are making this decision to not let white people into their space. If we can't have a space of our own, we're gonna create our own space.
We can have a space with you over here.
Our own form of
freedom.
We're
gonna go over here.
Okay?
Our own form of freedom.
And sometimes when we create our own thing, because society at large is not paying us in general what we are worth.
Right.
We don't always have the finances to help feed the thing that we've created for ourselves.
But when we do, right?
But when we do,
what
we
happens?
Try to make what we get. There's always somebody that is some white person wants to come into the space and then wants to buy their way into the space. And it becomes a temptation because you know that they have the money to help support what it is that you have.
And here's why. Yeah, please keep going because
I love that you're there. We have to make this decision to say, hey, we can't let you into this white space. We ain't got the money, but you can't come in here because, the whole purpose of this space is for us to have a space without you.
Mm-hmm.
You have your own spaces you can go to,
Mm-hmm.
which is what he tells them. Okay? You have your own spaces. You can go to them. You don't have to come in here. And then we got our half, we got our sister that can pass.
Yes.
And she's going to say, well, they probably got this real money.
Come on, Roger. Let me go talk to him.
Let me go talk to him.
And what happened?
And they end up, unbeknownst to themselves, sometimes unwillingly, have invited the devil into the house.
And she didn't even mean to, right?
Right.
She actually tried to walk away, but they still got you. So when Cornbread said, sometimes it be your own
people,
he wasn't talking just about black people, y'all.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
White folks will eat white folks down too.
Some of your own people. So also then you have to
get what you want because you're a sympathizer.
Right. So
I ain't gonna go there.
Riddick,
Let me shut up.
Who comes from a history as an Irishman being colonized. He quotes when he talks about when Christianity was forced upon people that had Celtic practices and Druid practices.
That was beautiful.
And had Christianity forced on them. So he's very old, but he also has this other part of being now he's an Irish American. He's now taken on this power that he now has. But
because he has also, if he's an Irish immigrant, right, he's also dealt with, not to the same degree, but he has dealt with oppression.
Yeah.
So for him to be now in the state, this is freedom.
This is freedom. But also, he still doesn't want to deal with his consequences of his freedom.
He doesn't.
So what he decides, instead of dealing with his consequences of
by
his freedom
himself.
by himself, he wants to take the gifts and steal the things from the people inside the shack, which
the black people.
He's mirroring the oppression
that he also suffered. He's now becoming the oppressor. Listen.
So talking about an Irishman becoming an Irish American and now becoming oppressive, because we all know that Irish Americans are a lot more right-leaning than Irish people.
You see where it's going?
And so I was like, oh, we got this mirroring thing going on. Okay, all right, this thing is happening.
So it's and it shows how an allyship can be tenuous.
Yeah.
Right? So you have a situation where I think, because although, what's her name? Lee Jun Lee's character, who invites Grace invites the vampires in right when we get to that point. And it's what is her name? It's Haley's character, who was trying to walk away from the situation, but she still invited. So the two allies, if you will, not purposefully.
Yeah, but I also want to talk about I don't think it's an accident that
I don't.
Lee Jun Lee's character's name is Grace.
No, right.
Is that she is in community and she is in allyship with black people until it runs against her own interest. At some point, her own interest puts everyone else at risk.
Right. Even though her own interest is my child is in danger.
Right.
And we absolutely can understand.
And we can understand that.
But just take that detail of the reason out. It does not change that fact.
It doesn't change the fact.
Allyship is tenuous.
It's tenuous. And then, but I think in this betrayal, he's also trying to get maybe people of color, maybe black people, to start giving Asian people just a little more grace.
Just a little bit more grace.
A little bit more grace. Yes, this is wrong, but a little grace.
Yeah. Okay. Same thing with, I think, for our multiracial, biracial friends, you have to understand, regardless if you want to believe it or not, they will always be torn between these two worlds, if you will. No matter how hard they try to blend it, absolutely, it is always going to feel like, where do I belong? And I felt like Haley didn't belong. She tried to.
Well, no, I don't even think she tried to. That decision was forced upon her.
Yeah, where do you go? So, I want to make sure that you finish your thought, because I have one more.
Yeah,
that I want
I
to share.
think those. Yeah, that whole theme of
Oh, you want to talk about negotiation?
Yeah, the temptation of them. The most intense moments of the movie is what?
When the vampires were. Oh no, intense were at the doors.
At the doors.
At the door.
The negotiations at the door. It wasn't.
Yeah,
you
were talking. No,
it's the
you're
negotiation
right.
at the door that is the most tense moments of the entire movie.
Oh my God, and like long, intentional. And it's like, so when Remmick's character couldn't get in because he wasn't invited. It's like there was this moment where his body language, like he was trying to, even
before they knew they were vampires, they still didn't let them into space because something was off. And they do that musically too. Because you just got finished hearing the blues music inside, and then they start singing, I picked poor Robin clean. I picked poor Robin. And like, it's good. Like, it's very coordinated.
It is.
Their melodies are tight. Okay?
Well acted.
And it was so well performed, but yet it's not what's happening inside.
Music really was a whole character in this entire film.
You had that feeling, listen to that song, like, they good, but nah, don't let them in. They weird, dog.
It's it.
You felt that.
Yeah, as we were talking about the music, it made me think about that final scene when Miles's character is singing, he's singing This Little Light of Mine, but it's very bluesy.
Yep.
Like, it almost brought me to tears. Like, he's literally singing the blues in the house of God. Like, it's right. Like a marriage of it. Anyway, so but my biggest theme is that the biggest, this is a horror film. And the biggest enemy and the biggest evil in this horror film for me were not the vampires.
It was the KKK.
It was the racism. To me, it was the racism because it played all the way through. It didn't shy away from racism is real. KKK was real. We're talking about Jim Crow South in 1930s. We're not apologizing for the shit that happened in this country. This was here, and to me, racism was the biggest evil because even against fucking vampires. If the vampires didn't kill those black people in the juke joint, the KKK would have. It's like, no matter what, we talking about America, no matter what the danger, no matter what the evil is, you want to think it's vampires. Hey, audience, I'm going to sell you that as vampires, but I want you to show the greatest evil was not these goddamn vampires, is that the fucking evil ass racists who set me up, who set us up to have our thing, like you were talking about earlier. We finally have enough money. We finally have enough to create our own. And we create our own. And for a time, we like, hey, this is good. This is great. We are prosperous living. But if you give it enough time, these racists will come for you. And they will burn your shit to the ground.
Let's be clear now. They would, if the vampires weren't there, they wouldn't have died because it would have been two of them against all of them KKK. They had been planning on the KKK coming in the morning.
Who you talking about? Smoking them?
Smoking snacks.
No, yeah, they did. But you forget about it. The beautiful thread of that is like, yeah, it happened, but you get so enveloped. For me, I got so enveloped in what was happening with these vampires, right? So I'm like, after Smoke survives, all this shit, I'm thinking he's going to get in the car and leave.
No, he was ready to go.
No, but you see him. So for me, it was a shock. I said, I forgot. Even after all of that, this black man had enough mind to know, like, no, these fucking racists set me up and we still have to deal with this. It is still going to happen. And I just wasn't ready for that.
He was gone. Like, he could have just gotten in the car with Preacher Boy and just left. He could have got home because Preacher Boy made it safe. He never came anywhere near.
Nope.
So
you're right.
He none of them.
And just been done with it. He said no.
You know what? No. Some other people are suspecting that the reason why he defended the barn so heavily, he locked the barn up and nobody could get in. Stack was in there.
Oh,
he was like, because he left Stack because
But didn't Stack and Mary run out? They ran out of the.
Mary ran first, but he came back. That happened before him and Smoke's fight. He took Mary out, and then he came back because he wanted to turn Smoke.
Smoke, right.
He came to turn Smoke.
Oh shit!
And so he
Girl,
couldn't
I'm
turn
mind
Smoke.
blown, girl.
He couldn't turn Smoke, and then Smoke didn't.
He couldn't kill him.
He
Because
couldn't
it's his
kill
brother.
him.
That's when he made him
And
promise.
so he was able to make it into the next morning because Stack killed. Because Smoke killed
That's
all the
right.
KKK.
Because the sun had come up and all the vampires died, so he couldn't leave. Because you're right, he never ran back in that barn.
That's right.
And I just thought he was like, fuck y'all, I'm going at
Well, both.
Whoa.
He was like, well, I'm not staying here. And he was like, I'm going to have to take them all on by myself. So I'm going to see he was getting his freedom.
He was getting his freedom.
Because he wanted to be with his wife and his baby.
So, yeah. Okay.
And then Stack and Mary got their freedom because they got to run off together. That's the thing that they wanted to do.
Okay, can we talk about that scene? When they go to 1990.
Oh, when they is it the 90s? Yeah,
it is
like
the 90s.
1992.
Yeah,
and here they come, and what in the Fly Girls? Haley Steinfeld.
All right, okay, but she hit it though, right? She got her like
and Michael B. Jordan's Coochie sweater.
He is right, looking like Smooth, like MC Smooth. Okay, it was, and the way they did that, like I cried a little bit because it ended, but it was setting you up for that scene. Like you got to see him 60 years later, and then he hit the credits, and then went into that scene.
And I was like, oh my goodness! I was like, yes, Sammy made it. Got to sing the blues.
There it is. Sammy made it.
Sammy made it. Got to sing the blues. He was able to. He owned his own club. Because they was like, boss, you want us to lock up?
Yeah. I was like,
he got his own club. I was like, this is beautiful. This is a beautiful like life that he's lived the next 60 years.
Absolutely.
And here come
Stack and
Mary.
And for them to still honor that agreement, it's like, sometimes you think you've seen vampires be portrayed like they're heartless, like they don't feel anything. And it's like, I love this with you. It's like, no.
But also understand that maybe I should not turn you into this without your will. Your permission.
Right, because there's also something very...
Yeah, at the point where they're like, I'm not going to turn people without their permission. Like,
because
that's not a thing.
We don't feel... Like, they felt...
Like, I want... You need to want this. Because this...
And he asked them.
I'm only here because I feel like I want this.
And he asked him, he said, I can make all of this stop.
Right. And then, like, they offered, and he said no. Okay. They was like, all right.
All right. See you around.
See you around. Just play for us
one more time. And I'm just like, oh. It was just beautiful. Like, I was almost cool with that. I was like, okay, I gotta be cool with this, but it feels okay, which is a mind fucking in and of itself.
Crazy. It's crazy. You see how everyone has gotten there. All the main characters in this got their freedom, except for Pearline. Poor Pearline. Well, she was cheating on her husband anyway.
I mean, so she's like, I'm out here doing what I want anyway.
But listen, she got some good that night.
Did she? Okay. She had to get it.
Listen, she had a good night.
She had a good time. Okay. She went out.
Oh, no, she died. That's right. Yes, right. They got her.
They got her, but
I forgot. I was like, she ain't go back.
They got almost everybody. So, all right. So before we wrap this up, what do you hope this movie means like for the future? What do you hope happens?
I hope that we start valuing original stories and IPs a little bit more. I hope we want to see that big companies get back into wanting the new innovative story again, and not a property they can just they can churn out, that they can get guaranteed money from.
Yeah. I would pull that thread a bit more authentic. This is what happens when you allow authentic stories to be made. And you don't have to ask the question anymore, can these be box office successes? If anything, films like Sinners is pulling people back into theaters in ways that we haven't seen. I'm not saying that there weren't moviegoers. I'm saying there were people who were still not going to the movie theaters, who want to see stories, particularly of stories wrapped in things that they haven't seen before, aka their own stories, their history.
Mm-hmm.
So we're past the fact of the question of, can an all black cast, even if it was written by a white person, can an all black cast be a box office smash? Yes. Can a black story, can this be something worthy of Hollywood? It's absolutely. So it's time out. I'm hoping there's going to be more films made like this. And I want there to be classes, and I want people to study this film, and I want all the classes to ask the question, why for some? Why was this so powerful for you? We know why it's powerful for us. Mm-hmm. But for people who have not understood what America could look like, right? I almost forgot, like, this is a period piece in a horror story, and we're calling this a horror movie, and this is exactly what the world looked like. This is what America was, and you can find it fascinating. Why do you find that fascinating? I just want these kinds of questions to be toured with. I'm not asking to get for full answers. I think films like this can be great. They can be entertaining. They can, and they can push conversations like this. I feel like I might be able to have a conversation with some people who are some of my non-black friends. Just sit and watch this film and tell me what you got from it. We should be doing this. Greenlight all this shit. Where's your black queer directors? Give me some more female black, give me all of the fucking directors. Everybody don't look like Martin Scorsese and make some film.
This is a movie that can be an entire universe. Like, there's so many stories out of this movie that I want to know. I would watch the movie about the Choctaw,
like a prequel, bitch.
Chasing
yes.
Remick to the beginning of the movie.
Yes,
I would watch where the fuck Stack and Mary been for
those past 60 years?
60 years.
What happened between then and then?
I will watch that entire goddamn series.
Are you kidding me? Yes, put that shit on Disney Plus. You know what I would watch?
What?
Preacher Boy's journey.
I would watch.
I want to know how Preacher Boy got to the
career.
I would like to see how that happened.
Knowing and understanding that he has the power to conjure spirits.
Oh man, right? Like, what happened over those
Knowing
60
that
years?
He has the power to pierce the veil. How has that now benefit him in his life? Now he knows that is his superpower.
Oh, that's great. Yes. The origin of Remick. Oh my God.
I would watch Remick. How did
you get there? And how did you find his way to that part of the desert? Like of that.
And just like everything in between, because Remick is now what, like 900 years old?
Yeah, like what's that? Like what's that about?
So much time to do what there's
that is such a great
of movies
just waiting to happen.
I would watch everything that I just said.
Yeah,
I would watch all of these.
Absolutely,
movies. These are easy pitches of movies.
These television shows. Could you imagine we got seasons on this? Don't even play it. You want to make it a universe? I don't know what would ever be easier. I would watch films of this. I would watch a series of this.
I would watch all of this. So listen, y'all got get your money, Warner Brothers. Good 25 years to do what you need to do with this series. Don't drag your feet. If you want to make your money, make it.
I eat for that.
He gave you 25 fucking years.
He sure did. You need to make a whole universe. We done got 19 Jurassic Parks. How many fucking times we gonna go back to this island of dinosaurs and we can't go back to the Delta? Take me back to the Delta, goddammit.
Don't get crazy and then not.
Don't waste your blessing, as they would say in church.
And then 26 years later, Ryan Coogler is out here with his own paper.
Right. He said, you know what? Now I'm finally going to make a sequel. Do you know that's $1 billion right there?
There you go.
Sinners 2 in 2051.
You done waited 25 years.
You done waited 25 years. Girl, I can't.
And now it's coming out. You Warner Brothers, you better get the fuck on.
You better.
And know. You better learn something.
You better figure it out, ho.
Okay, 25 years. And shut the fuck up.
Okay. In that order.
Okay.
Girl.
Y'all crying about this is going to crush the industry.
They ain't going to crush shit. This is a whole universe.
They about to be richer than all you studios. You better hurry the
Keep
fuck
making
up.
These Coogler films. Stop playing.
Fuck around and
find out.
Your 25 years, Warner Brothers, you better hurry on.
You better make an announcement by the end of this year. Okay. Sinners 2. Okay, there we go. Okay.
I want to pitch in the morning.
Okay. Shit. And on that note, I think I'm good. You good?
I'm good.
Oh my God, that was great.
I'm so high right
Yes,
now.
we are so high. Oh my God, but y'all, please go see this film. We're going to watch it again.
All right, so what do you want to tell the people?
I want to tell the people, y'all, be good or be good at it.
And I want you to know that you are enough just as you are. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.